Okay, so last night when we were together, we were looking at this, yeah? We looked the at Daniel chapter 2, and our main focus in Daniel chapter 2 was about the image. That's what Daniel chapter 2 had to deal with. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, right? And the dream that he saw was a huge image, very, very big image. And the image were they were precious metals that made up the image. So image was this, right? The image's head was of fine gold, not gold enough, fine gold, fine gold. Since I'm here dealing with fine gold, maybe I should deal with this as well. Maybe I should deal with this as well. So let me just digress a moment. There is a thing in spoken of in Revelation chapter 13. Let's close with this, right? It says, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 threescore and six." It says, "For it is the number of a man, number of a man, and his number is 600 threescore and six." I think we spoke about it some time ago, but just to be clear, this number was already assigned to a man by this time. You can find this number in the book of Daniel, chapter 3. Remember the number, the number really was, what again? Let's see if we can, which window we use again? Revelation. 600, threescore and six. So threescore is 60 and six, right? And 600. So that's sixes, 666, right? Even to today, people afraid or scared of that number. Let's look and see who that number speaks toward, right? So after Daniel gave or explained to Nebuchadnezzar the meaning of his dream, Nebuchadnezzar decided to do something cheeky. Here's what he did. So right after the dream, Nebuchadnezzar did this at chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar, we're not going to alter chapter 3, just like the first two verses, so you can get a feel of what's going on. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold whose height was threescore cubits and the breadth 6 cubits. So that's 60, threescore 60, and 6 cubits, right? So we can see right there that's 66, right? He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors and captains, judges and treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together to the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up, right? Then an herald cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that in the time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up." So here is a Babylon king, not the first. I think Nebuchadnezzar, his father, was the first conqueror of the world. But Nebuchadnezzar, his son, took over, right? So here's Babylon now with an image set up where we are really worship the king. Because the king, his head is of fine gold. And then now you find that this king now trying to wipe out God's plan, basically. So the whole image of fine gold. The head was of fine gold, was him. Breast of silver, belly and thigh of brass, legs of iron, then feet of iron and clay. Nebuchadnezzar set up an image of pure gold, all gold. And then there became a problem. So we see right here that we see 66 and 6. But where is the 600? We have to go find the 600 now so we can see where how that goes. All right. So it is in the book of Kings. I'm trying to remember Kings, Kings, Kings. It's Chronicles. Chronicles. I do a quick search on my phone because there's a lot of references to gold and so on. You can find gold in Second Chronicles chapter 3, verse 8. Yeah. So here's what it says, right? He overlaid also the house with beams, he overlaid the house, also the house, the beams, the posts, the walls thereof, and the doors thereof with gold, and graved cherubims on the walls. And he made the most holy house, the length thereof according to the breadth of the house, 20 cubits. The breadth thereof, the breadth of the house, 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof, 20 cubits. And he overlaid it with fine gold, amounting to 600 talents. So here's the thing. To make fine gold, you have to use 600 talents of gold. It's something that's repeated in the Bible more than once, right? To have fine gold, you have to have about 600 talents to make fine gold. So I don't know what fine gold is, but I mean that's maybe gold in its pure essence. All right. But Nebuchadnezzar, we know he is the image that is of fine gold. We know that the Bible teaches that, right? Because when you go down to about verse 30, listen now. Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. Whereas wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, the fowls of heaven, hath he given into thine hand, and he hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. But earlier, you'd have seen when Daniel was speaking about the image, he said this image's head was of fine gold. So fine gold and gold is actually used there. But fine gold, you can find the reference in Second Chronicles chapter 3, about verse 8, where you had to use 600 talents to make fine gold. So it's 600, the 60, and the 6 laid out. So this first reference was actually used to represent the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Babylonish king that also wanted worship. So I hope a little bit of that falling into place somewhat, yeah? Anybody have any questions? Any questions at all? But I know you start to see getting a feel of this, right? A king
Yeah,
who wants
morning, brother.
worship. Yes, brother Gigi, yeah.
So why it take so much gold to make fine gold? I don't understand
Why,
that.
brother, more you be tell me than me, you know. Because you're the man of construction. I don't know. I don't know. Don't know,
Uh,
brother G. It's the ancient way these people use to do things. But there's some, I mean, there's some reference there that me can't really, honestly, me not know. Maybe the answer will come at some point. Yeah, yeah. Not sure at all. Not sure at all, brother.
all right, bro.
Some purification process. Me not sure. I guess we know what maybe the equivalent thing that we would say now is like carats of gold. So maybe that's a reference point. We could do like carats of gold. Maybe the, the, you have to mix gold with other metals. So maybe the proportion of the gold to other metals is what you call it. Because I guess For them, it was fine gold, but we know we call it carats of gold. That's the best thing they can think of. But still can't say really I saw it go for true. Still can't swear for that. Mr. Anne-Marie, go ahead.
They said that fine gold is the highest level of purity. It's 99.99% of gold. It is what do you say? It is this means that out of 1,000 parts of metal, 999.9 parts are pure gold, with only a tiny fraction consisting of other elements or impurities.
So at least we kind of guessing good with that. So Google working well there. All right, but it's rather interesting though that fine gold is rather interesting. Um, what does fine gold mean? Fine gold is a term used for pure gold, i.e., a metal that is an alloy of 99.9. If you turn this upside down, you know what you get. In trade, this alloy is found as fine gold. 999 is qualified with 24 carat. Yeah, so that's what we call it now, 24 carat. With this gold, only a vanishingly small part is made up of other metal. Yeah, so I guess it's what we call carats of gold. Yeah, so that's the equivalent of it. So maybe that's a starting point to look. Right? But as a refresher still though, to remember, shall we go back through? So we look at gold representing Babylon, silver being Persia, breast and arms of silver, belly and thigh of brass, Greece, iron and clay, iron, the legs of iron, Rome, the legs here, and then down here, let me see if we can zoom this up a bit, iron mixed with clay. This is where we are right now, the feet, iron mixed with clay. Because all these kingdoms have basically passed already. But let us go a little bit more detail as we're talking about with Nebuchadnezzar. This king wanted worship. God in his wealth of wisdom and knowledge decided to compare what we are going to face and struggle with as a type of Babylon. We can see that reference again, in Revelation chapter 3, not what chapter 3, chapter 18. It says, after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So you see, the Bible uses what we are going to be facing now as Babylon. Why? Because it might very well be that there is a king that exists right now. He governs somewhere. He's a governor. He runs a particular geographic location. But he also wants worship. There is only one other king you can find in biblical history that wanted worship. And that's Nebuchadnezzar. That actually go out and try to get people to worship him. Right? So maybe that's why, because the only king that the Bible teaches that should be worshipped, we all know who that king is. He's the only king who is also a priest, who also deserves worship. It's rather strange that the Pope, who is king, you know what, let me not speak of my own accord as that. From titles of the Pope. All right, so it's official titles. Oh, yes. He's called the Bishop of Rome, the Vicar of Christ. That means Christ on earth, representative of Christ on earth, successor of the Prince of the Apostles. Remember in Hebrews chapter 3, Christ is called an apostle. Let us look here. Hebrews chapter 3, I think it is. Wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Christ Jesus. So the Pope also claims that he's also an apostle. Supreme pontiff of the universal church, patriarch of the West, primate of Italy, for 2 years. That would carry as primate, normally some monkey-like thing, but we can work with that too. Metropolitan Archbishop of the Roman province, sovereign of the Vatican city-state, servant of the servants of God. And if you notice, as a crown he wears, he claims he's a king. So he claims he's a king, he claims he's a priest, he claims he's an apostle. You know, he claims basically all the titles that belong to Jesus. Yo, this is no joke, right? So when we see what the challenge that we're going to be facing now is a king, much like Nebuchadnezzar, that wants worship, but he takes it to a different level. All right. So let's jump now into Daniel chapter. Where now? Let's go to chapter 7. So Daniel had a vision, not another vision. The first vision was Nebuchadnezzar's vision. So Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, right? So that was Nebuchadnezzar's dream, right? But now in Daniel chapter 7, that he is going to have a vision that goes into more detail than what Nebuchadnezzar dreamed. Daniel is going to have a vision now that goes on a bit further. Remember, in the image, we saw 4 metals: gold, which is Babylon; silver, Media Persia; brass, Greece; iron, Rome. But now in the feet, there's something that is not metal, clay, but it's going to be mixed with the metal. All right. I spoke about that last night with the clay, miry clay, and potter's clay. Now, jumping into this, keeping that in mind, let's now jump into this. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. So it was a dream, really. He had a dream and visions of his head on his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. So you write down the dream, wake up, it's a good practice that write down something so you don't forget. I guess he learned from the Nebuchadnezzar. You don't want to forget, so make sure you write it down, right? And then told the sum of the matters. So I guess the persons he would have told, I'm guessing, can't say for sure, maybe Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the same persons we called upon and said, listen, let's pray to understand this vision when Nebuchadnezzar have and to know the vision, the dream as well. Let's pray to the God of heaven, the God, the only God. Let's pray to him so that he can reveal to us, right, Nebuchadnezzar's dream and the interpretation thereof. Right? So I guess the same persons he would have told, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, his 3 closest friends. Right? So let's continue. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. So 4 winds, 4 metals: gold, silver, brass, iron. We're not dealing with the clay yet. We're not dealing with the clay yet, right? 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Right? So 4 beasts, again, 4 metals, 4 beasts, 4 winds. So 4 beasts came up from the sea, and they were diverse as in different one from another. The first was like a lion, right? We all know a lion, majestic and proud, right? And had eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Listen, if you read, I asked you guys to read Daniel chapter 4. How many persons, let me pause here for a moment, because understanding Daniel chapter 4 would help to understand this. Did anybody read this in the chat? I will not ask you a question, right? I will not single you out, so don't worry about it, yeah? But did anybody read Daniel chapter 4? I will not single you out, you know. Anybody read Daniel chapter 4? Recently, yes. Now, if you read Daniel chapter 4, here is what you'd realize. Nebuchadnezzar said he dreamed that dream. Again, a mighty tree, and the birds make nest in the tree, and the animals found shade under the tree, and they would eat of the fruit of the tree, basically. The birds make nest, like the tree shelter everybody. Daniel, so before I go to Daniel part of it, right? So he saw some watchers, come down on the tree and said, don't make a total end the tree, but brass it, compass it around with iron. And then the tree basically regrew, yeah? Here's the point. If you read Daniel chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar experienced conversion. Because the dream was, he was going to go, God said, because you're too proud and whatever, may I cut you off a little bit, you know. I'm not going to cut you off, make a total end, may I cut you down a little bit. May I trim you down. Cut off your branches and whatever, and then cut down some of your trunk. And he was made to eat grass like cow and goat. And for 7 years, he was in full of hair, and his nails grow long like eagles' claws, and so on. And after 7 years, he repented. And he passed a decree that, listen, God up in heaven where Daniel served, and him a God. So Nebuchadnezzar, based upon what was written in Daniel chapter 4, it seemed as if Nebuchadnezzar repented and was saved. It seemed as if Nebuchadnezzar repented of his wayward ways and was saved. Yeah, man. Nebuchadnezzar experienced salvation. So when he said that when he said, listen, the first was like a lion, yeah, and had eagle's wing, because Babylon was a great empire. Talk about great in terms of just the amount of space and geographical cover. I mean, grand. I mean, aqueducts, sewers, the hanging gardens of Babylon. I mean, the majesty of that city. Even now in modern day, people can't understand how that city was built. Can't understand. The entire wall painted blue. The whole city was, it was said that you could have ride 5 chariots side by side on the walls of Babylon. It was a majestic city. One that me not think even we with technology can build one like that right now. It was a beautiful city. And they traded in gold. Gold that they, I like what them use if they buy stuff them time. Rich, everybody in Babylon rich. So it said that the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So the height, eagles, there's hardly a bird fly higher than an eagle. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, as in cutting down to size, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand up on the feet as a man. And the man's heart was given unto it. That means the salvation, the man I get no, you know. Nebuchadnezzar was saved, right? So it was Babylon. And behold, another beast, a second like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. So this now Media Persia coming to conquer Babylon. It had 3 ribs, conquered 3 nations. Babylon was one nation conquered, mighty nations. Babylon, Assyria, that were the Philistine people, the Manaim people there, as well as Egypt. So Egypt, Babylon, and Assyria. History teaches that lesson. So Media Persia, the Medes and the Persians, the Persians being the greater empire, two countries combined, two nations combined to form one army, right? Or one greater nation then. All right. They were allies and then go fight together and stuff like that, right? So the three ribs were three nations they conquered before: Babylon, Egypt, and Assyria. That's what history says. My focus is not on Babylon or Media Persia or Greece. That's not my focus. My focus is going to be on the fourth kingdom. The fourth. That is where we're going to spend our energies because these things are history. It's only good to read to say, boy, if God fulfill 3/4 of this prophecy already, or 3/4 to, let's say, nearly 90%, from 75 to nearly 90%, right on cue, on time, exactly as he said he would have, you can assume that, guess what, he will do the other 10% too. You know, comes up and leave it unfinished, right? And I beheld another beast, second like unto a bear. It raised itself up on one side. It had three ribs in the mouth of it. It raised itself up on one side because it's believed the Persian Empire was bigger and more mighty than the Medes. That's what it's believed. The Persian Empire was bigger, so it can raise up on one side, like one side a little bit higher than the other, right? Or one side stronger than the other. Right? That's what it means when the bear raised up on one side. Right? You can understand a little bit more of that in Daniel chapter 8. Before this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So the 4 heads are the 4 generals of Alexander the Great. Because when Alexander the Great went to war, he would always use 4 generals. So like his army split up into 4, right? The 4 generals of Alexander the Great. All right. After Alexander the Great's death, his empire was divided among several generals known as, the most prominent were 4 known as Diadachi. The most prominent 4 were Antigonus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. Those were the 4 generals of Alexander the Great. So the 4 heads are the 4, like I'm attacking from 4 different angles. Left, right, in front of you, behind you. So you have to go fight a war on 4 fronts. That is why they believe he conquered the world so quickly. He conquered the whole world before my 30-year-old. He was 30, like he died young too, in his early 30s, right? So Alexander the Great was one of those persons, the belly and thigh of brass. All right? And fall because the kingdom was not as great as Babylon, of course. Was not as grand, right? After this in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. Now, this will go and pay attention to, right? And behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It's a definite metal. I'll come back in this one now. So the gold equal to Babylon, which also equal to the lion. Silver equal to Media Persia, which also equal to the bear, where is upon one side, right? The belly and thigh of brass represents Greece, which also represents, in this case, the leopard, which had 4 heads. The legs of iron represent Rome, the same Rome that was ruling in the time when Christ came as a baby, with Herod and the people and the Caesars. Right. So the leg of iron represents Rome, which also represents all them people from the time, the Caesars, right? Which this is the 4th beast now, right? And the same iron teeth. Iron teeth. It devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts which were before it. And it had 10 horns. You realize that Daniel couldn't describe this beast in terms of one is like a bear, another like a lion, but they have wings, yeah? At least the lion and the leopard have wings. The bear, regular bear that we know bear, but this one you can describe like a you can say look like one T-Rex or one some other kind of monster. Nothing. You don't know how to describe it. It's just different. It's indescribable. But notice what he said. It was diverse from all the beasts which were before it, and it had 10 horns. This same beast have 10 horns. And if you go through the book of Revelation, how many times you see beast with 10 horns? We are 13, right? Let's go, right? 13 verse 1. And I stood up on the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. You go back again at chapter 12. All right? And if you look now, here's what happened, right? And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. So there's a 10-horned beast. And in the time when John was alive, writing the book of Revelation, guess which beast was in power? The same leg of iron. The same beast, the 4th beast of Daniel, is the beast that was alive in the time of John. In the time of Jesus, maybe about 100 years, maybe about 100 years before Jesus came, roam around the world. So the 4th beast is the important one. And then understanding the 4th beast now, going into the leg now, the feet, sorry, of iron and clay, where we are, is what we need to look at. Yeah? But let's go back to Daniel. And it had 10 horns. Listen to what I say. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. This one again, another little horn. A little horn thing. Yeah? Little horn. Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So 3 horns were removed to make space for him, So imagine you have 10, you get rid of 3. So 10 down to 9, down to 8. If you take away 3 or 7, you have left, right? Cool. 3 were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Let me go here again. Which 3 nations were destroyed about 508 to to 538 by years, right? Between 508 and 538 AD, Rome in its eastern form under Emperor Justinian destroyed 3 kingdoms or tribes that were opposing the growing power of the Pope. The particular name I use the word Pope, so make sure I know use it in my search, right? Opposing the growing power of the Pope. The Heruli, the Vandals, and Ostrogoths. These were Arian powers that had previously limited the Pope's authority. Destruction of these powers allowed for the rise of papal supremacy in the Western Roman Empire.
Can you send that in the group, please?
Send the link. Can I send the whole link so you guys can just click on it, Control C? Control. All right, so cool. So that's center, right? So these three. So, Brethren, if you're not sure what if you're not well, you have to go dig it. You have to go dig into so deep into some history to show you exactly what's going on. But you can say 508. So if you subtract 508, or let's say it's a later date then 538. If you subtract that from 2025, you can find out about how long ago that was, how many years ago that was, right? So you can see that a long time ago, about 1400 odd years, about 1400 odd years ago, about 1460 odd years ago, 62 maybe years ago, this happened. 1462 years ago, thereabout, right? So a long, long time. If you're a lover of history like myself, you can dig up some more and show you. But that's going to be a little time because this is a lot of hours what I'm reading, right? You have to, and because people don't use books anymore, you have to have an idea what to search for. And I can promise you this: a few years from now, you can't find this information anymore. All right. But let's continue. So here is what happened. Before whom were three the first ones plucked up by the roots, then wipe them out. Much like how Columbus and his friends come and wipe out the Taínos, you can't hardly find any left. Yeah, man. Something similar to that. Then wipe them out altogether. Right? And behold, in this horn were eyes are the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Now listen. Remember now, in Daniel chapter 2, it said, I'm going to find Daniel chapter 2. Listen, thou sawest still that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were part of iron and part of clay, and break them into pieces. All right, cool, good. Now, listen to this, right? Here is what Daniel says, right? He's saying to Nebuchadnezzar, in the days of these kings, which kings? The same time when the kings are ruled, that same little hand power there, in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom. That means while Rome is ruling, and not necessarily have kings, no, but you have presidents and you have prime ministers, right? In the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom. Remember that, right? And remember, too, we're going to get to that eventually, right? I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the ancient of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. So, brethren, it is simply saying, in the time when the popes are ruling, when the popes them are rule, that will come. Popes ruling now, yes. But there's more to come in chapter 8. We're going to see more, as in more detail to make you understand and listen. In this time we are living now, it is very possible for God to come. Not this year, not next year, or the year after that, maybe the year after that. God can come as early as 2027, Why would I put it at that point in time? We're not saying he's coming. I am not saying he's coming. For heaven's sakes, I'm not saying he's coming. But there needs to be a 1 year time span. A 1 year. 1 year because on a window. We can use window. Then Daniel chapters. Revelation chapter. Miss Revelation. It has to be within a year have to run off. Right? Listen to what it says, right? It says this. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. A prophetic day is a year. So if God wants to start to pour out plagues, he can start pouring them out even from today, tomorrow. Will it take 1 year after tomorrow, at least a year before he can come? Because he will not go against his word enough. He must fulfill. So there might be a few more things to fulfill before the plague starts show. But I'm telling you, where I understand Revelation to be, is the only thing left are the plagues. The only thing that is left are plagues. Let me say it again. The only thing that's left are the plagues to pour out. Anne-Marie, go ahead.
So the plagues start to pour out now? And what are the plagues?
I don't see that. We'll have a look at the plagues at a later time. Maybe tomorrow, we'll look at the plagues. But today is more to deal with the 2300-day prophecy. 2300 days prophecy. Okay? So, let's continue. And just to be clear, in case you're wondering, brethren, I do not think, based upon understanding the prophecy, what I understand by the prophecy by the word of God, it may be the 2300 days start already. It may be start already. But I can't tell you this much though. It is possible that it not start yet either. It is also possible that it has not yet begun. Say it again. It is also possible that the 2300 days not start yet. You can't tell you this. What Adventist Church teaches is totally wrong. It wrong till it can't wrong no more. You have to twist the Bible to get that understanding. All right? Well, let's continue. Twist and add. Twist and add enough things to get to that stage. Let me go to my window here. Remember, you know, in the time of these kings, God will come. That was the emphasis, you know. The stone will come from the mountain and cut out without hands. It will smile the image on the feet. And Daniel is now seeing a vision now, wherein it is the time when this little horn is in power. God will come. The ancient of days will come sit. Right? A fiery stream issued and came from before him. Thousands ministered unto him. And 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then because of the voice. Listen now. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and its body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. Which burning flame at hell, you know? The burning flame is hell. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Right? So, here, it talk about the fact that, listen, God will come and this little one, I'm going to kill him. That little one, I'm going to kill him. But let's continue. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom. You remember that thing? What we read all the time? Sit, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at thy right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. I listen up. Christ is the Father is serving Christ. And look, man, sit on my right hand because we have some war for the rage. And some people to destroy in my righteous vengeance. And me go burn them out. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations and languages should serve him. His dominion was an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. And you see it over and over, I know. The Lord said to my Lord, the coming of Jesus. He's even talking about people say, I like a certain man going to one far country to receive a kingdom. Christ tell about this several times in the parables, you know. Let's continue. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit, in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. Questions so far, though, because I've been going on for a while. But questions so far? Anybody have any questions so far? Right? These great beasts, which are four kings, are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High, the saints that are hopefully us, right? Plus Daniel them, and Isaiah them, and Jacob them, and Abraham them, and Moses them, all the people here. The saints. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. Let me highlight this part. So, this is what is perplexing Daniel. This fourth beast. And I would know the truth of the fourth beast. Daniel have a problem with Babylon, you know, with Media Persia, and with Greece, you know. Those are natural kingdoms like people just go around and conquer and conquer. But the fourth beast, they're really about them because guess what? The fourth beast was doing this. Hold on. The great word which he spoke. You man, him a blaspheme. But let's continue. Which was diverse from all others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. He have characteristics of the first beast before we know. Him conquer them, but he still have practices. Like him allow part of those kingdoms to merge into him. Yeah? Which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Just stout look a fellow, not skinny. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Look at Revelation chapter 13. Listen to this, yeah? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And the same beast which we are trying live in and now, in terms of live in a theme time of ruling. I beheld and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Until, you see what's happening now? Until the ancients of days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So here again, this little horn power ago reign until Christ comes again. And in that time when he married, he will blaspheme God's name. He's not going to make war with the people of God. And he will overcome them as well. He will destroy enough of them. Right, let's continue. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after him, and he shall be diverse from the first. He shall subdue 3 kings. Same Heruli, Astradox, and so on that we talked about a while ago. And the Heruli, yeah? Let's go a bit further here. Let's go bigger again. The nations from Rome after its fall. These include, after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, various groups. Western is, oh, you know what? Let me open another wing. Might have to do a little bit of history here, but not too much. What is the Western Roman Empire? The Western Roman Empire refers to the western half of the Roman Empire, which was formerly divided in 395 CE, Common Era. That's what we call AD, Common Era, after the death of Thaddeus. It encompassed the western provinces of the Roman Empire, including Italy, Gaul, Hispania, Britannia, parts of North Africa. The Western Roman Empire eventually collapsed in 476 CE with the disposition of Romulus Augustulus by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer and so forth. Yeah? All right. But here are the nations, though, right? So the Western Roman Empire are the parts of Europe. Yes, all right? And listen to what it says, right? These include the Ostrogoths in Italy, the Visigoths in Spain, and southern Gaul, Vandals in North Africa, and Anglo-Saxons in Britain. The Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, continued to exist for centuries after the Roman Empire collapsed. All right. So, let us now ask this question now. How many? My microphone lock off to Zoom. So let me work with this. Yeah. How many nations were formed? Oh, were formed after Rome. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, approximately 10 kingdoms. I'll show you again. Oops. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, approximately 10 kingdoms or proto-nations emerged within its former territory. You think a coincidence that? The image where Daniel explained to Nebuchadnezzar about the vision, how many toes do you think it have? 10 toes. The horns are how many? 10 horns. These groups including the Franks, Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Vandals, established their own territories and so on. Yeah? Give me the same summary. I don't like this AI thing, you know. All right, these include the Franks, Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Heruli, Lombards, Anglo-Saxons, Suevi, Vandals, and Burgundians. Yeah, here's the entire list. Key groups. Here's the entire list. Let me see if I can find that out. Send it off to you guys. Close this. Okay. This is the complete list, the key groups. These are the 10 horns, more than 1,500 years ago. All right. Again, I'm going to send this to you along with some images a little bit later till we finish. Like, if you want to do some further reading, you can. If you want to do some further reading yourself, you can. All right. But no, we can't leave it alone, right? So we see clearly here that guess what? The 10 horns after Rome, the empire of Rome fell. The Caesars, right? And that kind of political power. Now we find is that something that's going to rise up. The 3 horns, right? And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. He shall subdue 3 kings. Read that a while ago, right? And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. You think that about the film like a law about you should not drink at this well or whatever. God not concerned about for them laws, I think him laws he matter about. Right? And they shall be given into his hand until a time and the times and the dividing of time. So they shall be given into his hand for a little while. He must get to go and run things for a while. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, that's the same war, and think to change times and laws. He must seek to change up the word of God. He going to add and go and subtract, and they shall be given into his hand until the times, and dividing of time. So for a while, he not actually run things. All right? But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So this is where we see that this 4th kingdom, the iron, are going to make war with the saints of heaven. After the empire collapse, the little horn are going to rise up. You know what? Let's see if Google will tell me this, yeah? Who is the little horn in the Bible? Let's see if it's in the book of Daniel. The little horn is a symbol representing a powerful figure or entity that emerges during a period of significant upheaval. While some interpretations identify it with a specific historical figures like Antiochus IV Epiphanes, others see it as a prophetic type of Antichrist, who opposes God and his people in the end times. Whoa, you sure I try avoid this, not true? All right, let me be more specific then. All right, it is the little horn. Thank you very much. People searching for that. Yeah, good. All right. Yes. According to many interpretations, including some Protestant and Seventh-day Adventist perspectives, the little horn in Daniel 7 is identified as the papacy or the Roman Catholic Church papal power. This interpretation suggests that the papacy fulfills the characteristics and actions attributed to the little horn in the biblical text. It's not something that is Seventh-day Adventists alone believe it, Some Protestants and Seventh-day Adventists. Not only that, but from 1922, um, wound wound healed. Yeah? The wound, the little horn, is not explicitly detailed in Daniel 7, but is often interpreted as a connection to Revelation 13, which describes one of the beast's heads, like unto the little horn, as receiving a deadly wound, is then healed. Yes, this is something that people from way back when, 902 wound healed by, when man get Mussolini? These are Mussolini people. These are Mussolini again. Healed, Revelation 13. Yeah, in Revelation 13:3. Yeah, where's it again? I'm going to find this and send to you guys. But what you find here, I'm going to find that send again in the group. But it's something I want you to pay attention to. In here, in Daniel, you realize a few things. Chapter 7. This little horn power is the last power to rule before Christ comes. And when we get to Revelation, looking at Revelation chapter 13, 14 going on, we're going to see exactly how this horn fits in and how it even come to the 19th and the 20th century. Where we are now, there's no prophecy really to govern that, you know. One of the last prophecies you can think of, other than the plagues, was the little horn or the wound being healed. And there were newspaper clippings, I think I showed you one time, about the wound being healed. People, when Muslims had a treaty that the Vatican can get back their own little place and sit down and rule. In 1922, people describe it as a wound being healed. The good thing in Revelation chapter 13 coming up, and done it, you know. So Revelation 13, there's only one thing left: judgment. Judgment. Preaching the gospel of judgment. And Christ to come. Plagues being poured out right before he come. Those are the only things left. The gospel must be preached about judgment. The plagues poured out, and Christ comes. These are the things left. We are really living in the end times. But I want to understand this part of it, though. There's a lot of things. I wish I could maybe I should try to compile all this historical stuff and put on one document and send it to you guys. One short, like a 1-page or 2-page document. I send to you. Guys, this is where we are right now. The little horn in power. The papal system in power. The Caesars ruled end from about 508 AD, same thing as Common Era CE. And then now, it took them 30 years to set up this papal power between the Caesars to the popes. And the popes are ruled. And in that time, they had to get rid of 3 nations: the Heruli, the Ostrogoths, and the Vandals. Had to get rid of them 3 nations there. Get rid of 3 of them. This is now popular in Europe. So this year we are. So in Revelation chapter 8 now, it no longer deals with Babylon. So Babylon soon are going to end. So it does deal with the horn, Roman, that is Media Persia, and then Alexander the Great, and jump straight into the little horn. That is what we're going to look at later. And in the times we are living, it's not easy. But when I finish with the clay part, the clay part, still we're coming back to it. All the details of what is the horn power going to do are in chapter 8. That is where the emphasis is. Chapter 8. This is the time that we are living in. Are there any questions, anybody? Nope. Righty then.